Now we will provide a demonstration on how to review the 2020 statistical areas located on tribal areas. The Verification Phase Respondent Guide, 2020 Census PSAP Verification Tribal Respondent Guide, G800, devotes an entire chapter, Chapter 2, to this topic. Use the guide and this portion of the training demonstration as you begin your verification phase review. First, click on the TIGERweb link on the PSAP website or in the verification announcement. The TIGERweb main page will appear. From the main page, click the TIGERweb Applications tab to the right of the Home tab, then TIGERweb along the left side of the screen. The TIGERweb Online Map Viewer application will launch. For more information on map display, navigation tools, the Layers panel, Legend, and Tools, please refer to Chapter 2 in the PSAP Verification Tribal Respondent Guide. If you have any questions regarding the application that you cannot find within the respondent guides, locate the TIGERweb User Guide in the upper right corner of the application by selecting the question mark button. Please use it for reference during your review as needed. With the Layers tab active, ensure the Select Vintage section is set and remains set to Current. Even though the 2020 statistical areas are included in the current vintage and made available to the public through TIGERweb, they are not yet used in most data products since they will not be finalized until after the verification phase concludes. Check the Tribal Census Tracts and Block Groups layer, the Places and County Subdivisions layer, and the American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian areas layer in the Layers panel. These three layers contain the 2020 statistical areas for tribal census tracts, tribal block groups, census-designated places, or CDPs, Alaska Native Village Statistical Areas, or ANVSAs, Oklahoma Tribal Statistical Areas, or OTSAs, OTSA Tribal Subdivisions, Tribal Designated Statistical Areas, or TDSAs, State-Designated Tribal Statistical Areas, or SDTSAs, Alaska Native Regional Corporations, or ANRCs, and State American Indian Reservations, or SAIRs. Check the Transportation, Roads and Railroads layer to assist with the review. Ensure the Labels layer and Hydrography layer remain checked. Manually zoom in or use the Query tool to zoom to the extent of the tribal area to review. Within the Query tool, ensure the Attribute tab is active. Choose American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian areas from the Select Map drop-down menu. Select the appropriate layer for the tribal area containing the statistical areas to review within the Select Layer section. Type all or part of the tribal area name to locate in the Enter Name of Feature section and or all or part of the 4-digit tribal geographic area code in the Enter Geo ID of Features section. This code is the last 4 digits of the complete 12-character tribal identification code located at the top of the verification announcement. Click Submit. The map display zooms to the extent of the tribal area and the name of the tribal area appears in the Query Results section of the Task Results tab along the left side of the screen. Clicking the tribal area in the Query Results section launches a TIGERweb info window with basic census and geographic information about the tribal area and selects the tribal area in the map display. If a tribal area name repeats among tribal areas, the query returns all tribal areas with that name in the Query Results section of the Task Results tab. Click the correct tribal area to review, and TIGERweb zooms to the spatial extent of the selected tribal area. Continue to zoom in using either the zoom in scroll bar or the roller ball on the mouse to visualize the statistical area boundaries and features used to form the boundaries. At the tribal area extent, statistical area boundary review is likely impossible. so continue to zoom in and pan around the tribal area to manually view the statistical area boundaries to verify they align with expectations. You can see the zoom level as a numerical value at the bottom left of the map display using the scale bar. At zoom level 10, tribal block group boundaries and tribal census tract labels appear, and at zoom level 11, labels for CDPs or incorporated places and tribal block groups appear. To start a new query or refresh the screen, click Clear Map, the button with an X, on the navigation toolbar above the Zoom In scroll bar. The Query tool can also be used to query within the map extent and zoom to individual tribal census tracts, tribal block groups, and CDPs. With TIGERweb zoom to the extent of the queried tribal area, change the Select Map selection from American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian areas to tribal census tracts and block groups. Check the Within Map Extent checkbox, then select the appropriate layer within the Select Layer section and key the appropriate geo-ID or name. Recall that the name for tribal census tracts begins with the letter T and is followed with a 3-digit number, T001, T002, etc. The tribal block groups are labeled with letters A through K, except letter I. To zoom into tribal census tract T001 in Tohono O'odham Nation, with the map zoomed to the spatial extent of the Tohono O'odham Nation, select Tribal Census Tracts in the Select Layer section, key T001 into the name field, and click Submit. TIGERweb zooms to the spatial extent of Tribal Census Tract T001 within Tohono O'odham Nation. To zoom to Tribal Block Group A of Tribal Census Tract T001, with the map zoomed to the spatial extent of T001, change the layer to Tribal Block Groups, key an A into the name field, and click Submit. TIGERweb zooms to the spatial extent of Tribal Block Group A of Tribal Census Tract T001 within Tohono O'odham Nation. To review the CDPs in Tohono O'odham Nation, change the Select Map section to Places and County Subdivisions, select Census-designated places. Within the Select Layer choice, key all or part of the name rather than geo-ID, and click Submit. TIGERweb zooms to the spatial extent of the CDP that falls within Tohono O'odham Nation. Please note that this method of querying individual statistical areas may not be feasible for tribal areas with a large number of statistical areas, but may be helpful if a participant knows exactly which statistical areas they modified during the delineation phase. Instead of an attribute query, some may want to perform a spatial query. Change the tab within the Query tool from Attribute to Spatial. Select the map from which to query in the Select Map section and the appropriate layer within the Select Layer section. Choose the spatial method symbol from the 6 choices: point, polyline, polygon, rectangle, free line, or free polygon. Once selected interactively, touch or draw on the map display to define the spatial area to query. Once your review concludes for your tribal area or areas and corrections were identified, proceed to the PSAP Verification Tribal Respondent Guide for guidance on correcting the 2020 statistical areas. If no corrections were identified, your participation concludes after sending an email of approval to the Census Bureau. If you have any questions regarding how to use TIGERweb to review your 2020 statistical geographies, please email geo.psap@census.gov or call toll-free at 1-844-788-4921. This concludes our TIGERweb online map viewer demonstrations. Again, if you choose to use TIGERweb WMS and TIGERweb REST services to view your 2020 statistical areas, please use the Respondent Guides or the TIGERweb User Guide for instructions.